I'm Christy.
And I'm Auntie B. And we are
Homebrew
Murder Crew.
Megan's not here. It's
Sans
so
Megan.
weird.
I know it's really weird not having Megan.
That felt weird, that intro without Megan.
I know. And it's weird that I'm the one here and Megan's not. Normally it's Sans Brittany
It's
instead of
crazy.
me, Megan.
But we just did Megan's episode, which it's on Patreon as well. So go ahead and listen to that.
We bottled wine today, you guys.
We bottled wine today.
Yeah, we did. Cheers.
Cheers. It's been a good day.
It's been a really good day.
And also finished my first week at the new job.
Yeah. And loving it.
Whew. I mean, it's
Overwhelming.
It's different. It's overwhelming, yeah. But I'm feeling optimistic about where this can go. So
I'm glad because
Yeah.
I think it's a really great positive change for you. And you know what? I said when you were going through the stuff at the care where you were, that, you know, I feel like it ended for a reason.
absolutely. And it's so different going from veterinary medicine into I'm now a legal assistant and I'm gonna be doing real estate legal stuff, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you and me are like one of those individuals where we're a chameleon. We can adapt to any situation, and we might not have all the education in the world, but we have a shit ton of experience and amazingness.
Honestly, and
that shows these individuals that, hey, okay, she might not have the schooling for a legal assistant, but she's got the drive and motivation to learn it.
Well, yeah, and so many transferable skills that are necessary too.
Well, I mean, like, I'm sorry to like the next generation and all, but you guys are lazy as fuck. So, I mean,
we ain't gonna raise our sons that way.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's hard as somebody that works in the financial field to find somebody that is more like not necessarily just educated, but has that work ethic,
driven.
Get shit done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of something that's been lost.
Absolutely. And that's one of my biggest things is like, I love to learn new things.
Yeah.
And I told the lawyer is who I basically respond to and who is my manager. And so he pulled me into the office on Friday just to have a little touch base and see her Thursday, maybe, I'm not sure. But just to see how I was doing and what have you learned this week? And I actually learned a whole lot, because I learned that ever since 9/11, Canada reformed like their policies and that sort of thing in order to avoid the opportunity for terrorists or money launderers to perform their tasks through lawyers, because lawyers have trust funds and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's very similar with banking institutions, because there's that whole scandal with TD Bank and stuff too in the United States.
Yeah.
So I learned about that, but there's a whole lot that I learned and that I continue to learn. And I told him, I'm like, I might have a lot of questions, and I'm more than happy to perform whatever task you need me to perform, but I'm going to ask why.
Yes.
Why am I doing this? Why is it necessary? And he's like, those are the best questions to ask. I am impressed.
And that's the part I think that's really missing now. It's just become a go in, do a job, get paid,
absolutely,
leave, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're from a generation that that's not okay. We've learned that hard work gets you somewhere.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
The only reason that I have the career that I do in finance is because I started at a bank when I was 21, and I learned absolutely everything I could possibly learn about it. And I worked hard.
Well, and think about like where you came from before the bank. You were Blockbuster.
Yeah, exactly.
So
education
different
isn't always the be all end all. Sometimes having experience and tenure on your resume can be more important than just education.
And some real good references. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So Brittany, I am bringing you a story for our microbrew today.
I'm excited.
It is titled The Silent Twins. And actually I'm going to shout out to Shelby, my next door neighbor, whose house I'm pointing at right now because she's literally right there. Hi, Shelby.
Hi, Shelby. We love you. The photos are great.
She sent me. I know. No, they're incredible. She did a photo shoot for us, and we just got the photos back like a couple days ago. Oh my God.
You'll see them on our socials.
Yeah,
you'll see them eventually on our post.
But
post.
Why was that so in sync?
Because that's
Oh my God. So she actually sent this to me over Instagram. She's like, well, if there's enough information on this case, it might make a really good microbrew. And it instantly piqued my interest. So I instantly started looking into this. And lo and behold, there's enough information for me to create a microbrew.
Love it.
So this is the Silent Twins.
The Silent Twins. Okay.
Yeah. So June Gibbons was born April 11th, 1963, and Jennifer Gibbons, April 11th, 1963, because they're twins. So of course they're born on the same day. I don't think they were technically identical twins. I think
they were fraternal.
I think they were fraternal. Yes. Okay. They're twin sisters who grew up in Wales, and they became known as the Silent Twins because they only communicated with each other verbally.
So they could communicate. They just chose to only communicate with each other.
Yeah, and I'll get into why. So they wrote works of fiction and in 1981 committed several crimes, including vandalism, petty theft, and arson. And this led to their admission to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security mental health facility. The twins were sentenced to indefinite detention under the Mental Health Act of 1983 and were held for 11 years.
Okay.
The end. Thank you.
Is it the end?
I'm kidding.
Which explains nothing, but there you go.
I'm totally kidding. So June and Jennifer, there's enough. I told you. This is microbrew. So June and Jennifer were the daughters of Caribbean immigrants, Gloria and Aubrey Gibbons. The family moved from Barbados to the United Kingdom in the early 1960s as part of the Windrush generation. So what this means, the Windrush generation refers to individuals who migrated to the UK from Commonwealth countries, particularly Caribbean, between 1948 and 1973. And who, despite having the right to live and work in the UK, faced difficulties proving their status and were wrongly treated as illegal immigrants. So it's kind of funny that we're coming off of what we just talked about.
Like, actually, though, it's like we just came off of talking about how the British came over and destroyed everything, Canada. Not everything, but I mean, like, the Indigenous people's lives.
Yeah, just genocide.
And now we're talking about them coming, like, to their country and how they handle them.
Seriously.
And it's like, amazing.
I didn't plan for this.
It's amazing.
This is wild.
I won't say.
The British are coming.
No, let's just look at the common denominator here, though. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay.
Continue.
So in 1960, the dad went to stay with a relative in Coventry and soon qualified as a staff technician. Gloria followed with Greta, David, and Rosie. Did I mention that oh, no, I missed that part. Sorry. Gloria was a housewife.
Gloria?
Gloria's the mom. Gloria was a housewife and Aubrey was the dad. And he worked as a technician for the Royal Air Force.
Okay.
The couple had 3 other children, Greta from 1957, David born 1959, and Rosie born 1967. So she was the youngest because between David and Rosie, the twins were born. Okay. So in 1960, the dad went to stay with a relative in Coventry and soon qualified as a staff technician. Gloria followed short thereafter with Greta, David, and Rosie several months later. And the twins, because the twins were born April 11th, 1963 at a military hospital in Aden, Yemen. Their father had been deployed. The family soon relocated, first to England and then in 1974 to Haverfordwest, Wales. Haverfordwest, Wales. Because there's west in there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Haverfordwest. Not Haverford, but Haverford. Because you don't enunciate the same way. Okay. Haverfordwest, Wales. The twin sisters were inseparable. And their sped up Bajan Creole made it difficult. So that's basically because they're Caribbean. That's their dialect.
Okay.
Essentially.
Okay.
So they're sped up. They talk fast. and it's called Bajan Creole, made it difficult for people to understand them. And in 2023, June said in an interview, she said, quote, "We had a speech impediment. Our parents couldn't understand a word that we were saying. Nobody understood. So we just stopped talking," end quote.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you have a stutter, and back then too, it was considered something a little bit more.
So you have a speech impediment, plus you have this accent from where you're from.
So you're already set up to be a minority wherever you are. Yeah. So you're dealing with that too. Yeah.
So the Gibbons children were the only Black children in the community and were often ostracized at school.
Believe it.
This proved traumatic for the twins, eventually causing their school administrators to dismiss them early each day to avoid bullying.
Yeah, because it's easier to just, remove the people having the hard time than it is to address the hard time and the behavior that goes into that.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I get it. Totally.
Their language became even more idiosyncratic at this time, soon becoming completely unintelligible to others.
So it's almost like they came up with their own language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And we're going to say that exact same thing right away. Yes, Brittany. The Gibbons children's, the girls, wow. Okay, where am I?
Words.
Right. Okay. The girls' idioglossia, as they call it, has frequently been characterized as an example of cryptophagia, which is a language devised and shared only by a set of twins. However, June Gibbons has disputed this, stating that their speech impediment was actually the cause of this effect. And according to June, the twins had been speaking English, which others mistook for an invented language due to the severity of their speech difficulties and their accent, as I stated. In 2023, June explains again in an interview that even their parents were unable to understand their speech, saying, quote, we had to point to things we wanted when our mother asked us what we wanted for tea or whatever. She thought we were talking a different language, end quote. So they couldn't even communicate with their parents.
That must have been so frustrating.
Yeah. This difficulty continued when the twins started attending school in Yorkshire. According to June, quote, they thought we were talking a different language. We could understand what we were saying, but I just don't think they knew what we were saying at all, end quote. Speech therapy was recommended for the twins, but was ultimately unsuccessful due to their continued unwillingness to speak out loud for fear of being misunderstood and the family's frequent relocations due to their father's military occupation. So there's no consistency for them.
At all. Right? Or stability.
And nobody has a chance to actually learn about what is happening.
Well, and they're probably being made to feel like they're an issue because of the speech impediment. It's not like, oh, here's something that's wrong and we need to deal with it as a family. It's you have something wrong with you and you're the issue. Absolutely. So that doesn't necessarily inspire that person going through it to, want to change it. Well, I'm just an issue. Let me be an issue then.
So the twins became increasingly reserved and eventually spoke to no one except each other and their youngest sister, Rosie.
Aww, Rosie.
The girls continued to attend school, although they refused to read and write. In 1974, a medic administering vaccines at the school noted their impassive behavior and unsuccessfully got them to communicate with their impassive behavior and notified a child psychologist.
So the person that came in to do the vaccinations was like, this is weird as fuck, and I'm going to let someone know about it.
So notify the child psychologist. The twins began seeing a succession of therapists who tried unsuccessfully to get them to communicate with others. They were sent to separate boarding schools, so split apart.
Oh, man. That's not going to help the issue, by the way. If you have an issue of people being too separated and whatnot, normally just separating them doesn't work.
So there's already this twin bond, which I don't know how many people looked at that back in that day in the 70s, but there's that, which anyways, and they already have speech issues, socialization issues, and they're solely relying on each other for comfort at this point. And now they're separated.
Now they're separate, and they don't have their person that they communicate with. Nor at this point do they probably even really know how to, because they're so engulfed in their own language. Right.
So now they're sent to separate boarding schools in an attempt to break their isolation, but the pair became catatonic and entirely withdrawn when parted.
So it didn't help.
No.
Yeah, no.
So when they were reunited, they spent the two spent several years isolating themselves in their bedroom, engaging in elaborate plays with dolls. And this part is so fucking cute, actually.
Yeah. Okay. But also kind of like, this will eventually not lead to a good spot.
You spent how much time apart when you're used to being together? And so now it's like, of course you're going to be like, okay, we cannot, no, we can't split up. Right. So this part's so cute. They created many plays and stories in a soap opera style, reading some of them aloud on tapes as gifts for their sister, Rosie.
Aww.
Inspired by a pair of gifted diaries, like diaries that they were gifted on Christmas in 1979, they began their writing careers. They sent away for a mail order course in creative writing, and each kept an extensive diary and wrote several stories, poems, and novels. Set primarily in the United States, particularly in Malibu, California, the stories involve young men and women who exhibit strange and often criminal behavior. This is where shit gets a little shifty. Okay. June wrote in a novel titled The Pepsi Cola Addict, in which the high school hero is seduced by a teacher and then sent away to a reformatory where a homosexual guard makes a play for him.
How old are they?
Two girls.
When they're writing this?
This is 1979. They got the diaries, and they were born in 1959.
So they're like, okay. I'm like thinking they're like younger-ish girls writing about homosexual.
So they're like young 20s, I think. Okay. Yeah. The two girls pooled their unemployment benefits to get the novel published by a vanity press. I'm sorry. My husband is probably asking me, what's for dinner right now?
What's in the fridge? Go look at the fridge.
The two girls pooled their unemployment benefits to get the novel published by a vanity press. This was the only accessible work by either of the Gibbons sisters, which remained unavailable for purchase and held in only 89 libraries worldwide until October 2022, when it was published as a limited edition print by Cashin's Gap. It was also published as a paperback in May 2023 by Strange Attractor. Their other attempts to publish novels and stories were generally unsuccessful, although Cashin's Gap is planning future releases by June and Jennifer Gibbons. In Jennifer's The Pugilist, a physician is so eager to save the child's life that he kills the family dog to obtain its heart for a transplant. The dog's spirit lives on in the child and ultimately has its revenge against the father.
Why? What imaginations they have?
Well, they were very isolated.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, what else?
Yeah. Jennifer also wrote Discomania, the story of a young woman who discovers that the atmosphere of a local disco incites patrons to insane violence. Discomania is planned to be published posthumously in 2025 because Jennifer passes away. So they were going to publish it posthumously in 2025. This year through Strange Attractor Press with a foreword by David Tibet of Current 93. She followed up with The Taxi Driver's Son, a radio play called Postman and Postwoman, and several other short stories. June Gibbons is considered an outsider writer. And what that means is that, so as outsider writer or outsider literature refers to writing that exists outside of established literary norms, often characterized by unconventional forms, styles, or themes, and may be produced by authors who are not part of the mainstream literary world, either by choice or circumstance.
Yeah. Okay.
So in their later teenage years, the twins began using drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, party. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry. Cheers.
I mean, same. I also did in my later teenage years.
I was like, don't you judge me.
But I didn't write anything as crazy cool as
Discomania.
Discomania. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I wish I did.
I know. Fuck. Really missed out on that shit. And I was like I had A's in English.
Yeah, I did really good up until high school, and then high school hit, and everything.
No, high school, I did amazing. I got 100% on my Hamlet essay, and I was made to read it in front of the fucking class, and I was a loser. And this was my nightmare. This was my nightmare.
I had to do that with one of my Elvis research projects that I did. I got like a 96% on it.
It's like, so I'm punished for doing well. Great.
Yeah, so you have to stand up in front of the class and
never again.
It's like, this is the highest mark in the class, so now I'm going to get you to present. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So I never want to get the highest mark in the class ever again. That's why. No, it's not. I was a delinquent. I'll admit it.
You were okay.
Also,
delinquent. I thought you said diddling Quinn.
Oh no!
And I'm like, ew.
I mean, I've diddled a Quinn. No, just kidding. I regret that instantly.
Regrets. So many regrets. All right, let's continue. So in their later years, the twins began to use drugs and alcohol. And in 1981, the girls committed crimes including vandalism, petty theft, and arson, leading to their admission into the Broadmoor Hospital, which is a high security mental health hospital. The twins were sentenced to indefinite detention under the Mental Health Act of 1983, which is probably something we should look into later.
Yeah, but why? Why were they?
This is a microbrew. Because they were, number one, very isolating themselves. Pardon me. They were isolating themselves up until this point, right? And creating these absolute weird stories.
They've gotten like caught and everything in the acts of these crimes, like the arson, petty theft.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically like, okay, you guys are weirdos already, and now you're fucking doing this shit out in public.
And like, so they probably got a bit of a track record now, and they're like, okay. And we're going to put you in this mental hospital.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Write down Mental Health Act of 1983 and then send it to me because I want to look into this more.
Health Act of
1983.
So
they remained at the Broadmoor for 11 years. June later blamed this lengthy sentence on their selective muteness. She says, quote, juvenile delinquents get 1 million years in prison. We got 12 years of hell because we didn't speak. We lost hope, really. I wrote a letter to the Queen asking her to get us out, but we were trapped, end quote. Placed on high doses of antipsychotic medications, they found themselves unable to concentrate. Jennifer apparently developed tardive dyskinesia. Yeah. A neurological disorder resulting in involuntary and repetitive movements.
Yes, that is just something that people today with mental health issues that are on medication, that's a side effect. It's basically unwanted movements and whatnot, tics and whatnot that you see in people shaking. Like I shake sometimes for no reason whatsoever.
I flick my fingers.
Flick your finger. Yeah. So it's stuff like that, tics kind of thing is what they're referring to there.
Yep. Their medications were adjusted sufficiently to allow them to continue the copious diaries that they begun in 1980, and they were able to join the hospital choir, but they lost most of their interest in creative writing. Because medication will do that to you.
Well, and especially if you don't need it too. So like, that's the other thing. It's like, if you're not feeling good on the medication that you're on and it's making you feel even shittier, you're not on the right medication.
Or the right dose. And that's a lot.
Right dose, right medication. Yeah. Like when I first took my journey with mental health and medication, 3 months is how long it took me. And that's that's pretty quick. Yeah. Like it takes a long time. And if you don't need these meds, counterproductive.
And the difficult thing is that a lot of the times as you're adjusting to these new meds, like you're not a functioning member of society at that
No, but
point.
you're expected to be.
Yeah, but you're needing to take time off work and people are judging you based on that and like your performance and your attendance. And it's like, even if you're forthcoming with your employer during this time, they're not very forgiving.
No, they're not. In fact, they're actually more forgiving of people that come in with hangovers than they are with people that are actually having a mental health day that might not be the best.
Yes.
Or they might be struggling. It's more appropriate to come in hungover and be like, oh, I'm just hungover. I don't know how to do my job than it is to struggle.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, isn't it?
Your addiction has more sympathy than my mental condition has.
Yes. Oh,
it's wild.
Yes. Welcome to the world.
Mm-hmm. So the case gained attention due to newspaper coverage by journalist Marjorie Wallace of the Sunday Times. Wallace later wrote in a book about the two titled The Silent Twins, published in 1986 by Prentice Hall. According to Wallace, the girls had a long-standing agreement that if one died, the other must begin to speak and live a normal life.
Oh, really?
During their stay in the hospital, they began to believe that it was necessary for one of them to die, and after much discussion, Jennifer agreed to make the sacrifice of her life.
No, like to talk, so the other one could talk and
live a normal life.
So that's what they felt like they needed to do to be accepted into society.
In March of 1993, the twins were transferred from Broadmoor to the more open Caswell Clinic in Bridgend, Wales. On arrival, Jennifer could not be roused. She was taken to the hospital where she died soon after of acute myocarditis, a sudden inflammation of the heart. There was no evidence of drugs or poison in her system, so it's unknown how or what caused the myocarditis.
Weird.
At the inquest, June revealed that Jennifer had been acting strangely for about a day before the release. Her speech had been slurring, and she had said that she was dying. On the trip to Caswell, she had slept in June's lap with her eyes open.
Weird.
On a visit a few days later, Wallace recounted that June, quote, was in a strange mood, end quote. She said, quote, I'm free at last, liberated, and at last Jennifer has given up her life for me, end quote. She also described it as a tsunami, washing her of her sins and being free of her sister. Jennifer was interred in St. Martin's Cemetery, Haverfordwest, Pembrokeshire, Wales.
I'm just making notes.
I know. No, I'm sorry. I'm just pausing.
I want to see. The reason I take notes is because I'm a visual individual. So when
visual individual. I'm a visual individual.
Anyway, so I like making social media posts that not only just show us what the episode is, but these little moments and stuff like that. So I kind of wouldn't mind finding their gravesite.
Yeah.
I also have this weird obsession with gravesites.
Oh my God. Do you have like find a grave pinned on your taskbar?
No, because if I did, I would have been able to find my grandma and grandpa this past weekend. But instead, I just dug up 3 graves.
Fair enough. So at the inquest, June revealed that Jennifer had been acting, already said all that, after Jennifer's death.
Yes.
June gave interviews with Harper's Bazaar and The Guardian. By 2008, she was living quietly and independently near her parents in West Wales. She is no longer monitored by psychiatric services. She has been accepted by her community and sought to put the past behind her. A 2016 interview with her sister Greta revealed that the family had been deeply troubled by the girls' incarceration. She blamed Broadmoor for ruining their lives and for neglecting Jennifer's health. She had wanted to file a lawsuit against Broadmoor, but Aubrey and Gloria, mom and dad, refused, saying that it wouldn't bring Jennifer back. So
because that's the only important thing, having any kind of closure or being justified and even having the conversation. No, why?
I understand it in terms of you have to relive a lot to go through that process of seeking financial restitution essentially, right?
Restitution. Thank you. I've been trying to think of that word for like days. Restitution.
So like you have to weigh if it's worth it or not. And I've been in that position very recently with the loss of my job. In that,
is it worth it?
File a claim or do I not? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be spending a lot more effort and emotion on something that I want to be done with.
Yeah. And I guess like I understand that aspect of it. I guess for me, it's more just the parents saying, no, we're not going to do it. And it's like, but you're doing it at the expense of her wanting to.
But I don't know the whole, again, this is just a microbrew and I didn't delve into like how they truly felt about it. So we're not going to blame them. For their choices.
Fine.
And I know.
Fine.
Put your pitchfork away, Brittany. No. Where am I? Okay, so in the media, the pair were the subject of the 1986 television drama called The Silent Twins, which broadcast on BBC Two as part of its Screen 2 series, and an inside story documentary, Silent Twin Without My Shadow, which aired on BBC One in September of 1994.
Okay.
A play based on Wallace's book titled Speechless debuted in London in 2011. The American poet Lucy Brock-Broido wrote a poem called Elective Mutes about the twins in her first book, The Hunger, which was published by Alfred A. Knopf in 1988. The twin story also inspired the 1998 Manic Street Preachers song, Tsunami. Which, write that song down because I want to listen to that.
I was actually just going to say that. Tell me one more time.
Manic Street Preachers.
Manic Street?
Yeah.
Preachers?
Yeah. And the song is called Tsunami.
Tsunami.
Polish filmmaker. I'm not going to say this name, but a Polish filmmaker. I'm not even going to fucking try.
Oh, no. I'm not even going to try either.
Agnieszka Smolczynska. Oh, not bad, maybe. Directed the 2022 feature film The Silent Twins, with the twins as a subject, starring Letitia Wright and Tamara Lawrence, based on the 1986 book The Silent Twins by Marjorie Wallace. The English language debut, the film was an international co-production between the UK's 42 Management and Production and Poland's Mandats, and backed by the Polish Film Institute and moderator in Westminster. You guys, I'm so sorry. My apologies. Anyways, moving on. Angeline Morrison's 2022 album, The Sorrow Songs, brackets, folk songs of Black British experience, features a song about the twins called The Flames They Do Grow High.
Flames They Do Grow High?
Yeah. The story of the twins was subject to a 2023 BBC podcast entitled, quote, June, Voice of a Silent Twin, end quote, which featured an extensive interview with Jennifer Gibbons, much of which these quotes from today's episode came from, recounting the twins' childhood events leading to their trial and imprisonment and their eventual release. So I encourage you to take a peek.
Yeah, there's so much literature on this. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
No,
to have this much literature on it. It's like, wow. And not
crazy.
Just like writings and like there's songs. And
what would you classify this as? It's not true crime. Like, yeah, they got involved in some crime, but like dark history. Yeah.
I feel like this would be the human body and like the weird shit it does and like the weird, like, you know,
the human
condition.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's crazy because there is like,
well, and it's really crazy that like they were both being treated as if they were like something mentally seriously wrong with them.
Yeah. Can I put your pen actually?
Yeah. But I mean, this more seems like a decision on their part to no, this is a decision we're going to make. It's not necessarily because of anything, isn't it? But it's, and so to pump them full of these antipsychotic, antidepressant drugs and everything like that. Like if you're not a person that needs those, it basically does the opposite.
Well,
so
and even if you are, and they're like, okay, well, we adjusted it to the point that they were still able to diarize what they wanted to.
Yeah.
But like, you're not. You need to be monitored so closely.
And you need to actually need the meds. So like, it's like you look at something like Adderall. Okay. Adderall is for individuals with ADHD.
Yeah.
It's like if you need Ritalin as a kid. If you need Ritalin as a kid or you need ADHD medication, typically it helps you, calms you down, helps you focus, whatever. But people that don't need Adderall for ADHD will still use Adderall because it affects them differently. It makes them all speedy. Yes, it hyper-focus them and everything like that, but it makes them all speedy and it makes them all, amped up. Whereas if you're an individual with actual ADHD, all it does is help you be a normal fucking person. Right? And you don't need to use it.
And do you know what these girls really needed was a little bit of understanding, some speech therapy, patience. And love.
Patience and understanding. It's actually amazing how much in life could just be a little more understood and put up with. If people were patient and took the time to understand a perspective that wasn't their own.
How many problems could be solved by patience and understanding?
Lots.
Oh my God.
Too many to count. I don't even want to think about it.
So anyways, thank you so much for listening, Brittany.
Yes, thank you for letting me listen to this one. And I'm sad Megan wasn't here, but it was lovely getting some time with you.
I know.
To do MICROBREW, so thank you.
It's fun. No need to run through our socials because you guys are already on Patreon.
I do remember that.
I will ask you guys, please, wherever you listen to our regular episodes, if you can please give us a rating, please, preferably 5 stars. If you love us, share us with your friends, your family. Let it be known that we are out here so that we can
100%
exceed.
Any little thing that you guys can do, whether it's a like, a share, or a review, is helpful to us.
Yeah.
The smallest of actions can mean the most.
We watch those metrics every day, and it excites us and it makes us happy. And anything you can do for support, anything your friends and family can do to support, it doesn't have to be a referral to Patreon or a subscription or paid service. It just
and I think we talked about maybe giving that option and giving a safety.
So
I think we got to figure out logistics to that a little bit more, but there will be an opportunity for you current Patreon members to really get our name out there to friends and family that you want to share with that maybe don't want to pay.
So soon you guys' memberships will be paused and payment will be paused and the microbrews will be free.
Free. Who doesn't like free?
Who doesn't like free?
I don't like free.
Anyways. Thank you, patrons.
Thanks for your support, and bye.
Bye.